We, the jury in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Robert Tellis, as follows. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon.
We're never going to be able to share laughter with him again, discuss sports with him, enjoy a barbecue with him, or admire his tenacious spirit.
That any attempts to silence the media or to silence or intimidate a journalist will not be tolerated. Justice was served.
A jury finding Robert Tellis guilty of stabbing and killing investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman. You're watching 8 News Now at 11. I'm Sasha Loftus.
And I'm Brian Loftus. That same jury sentencing the ex-politician to 20 years to life in prison. The 8 News Now investigators covering the crime and trial every step of the way. First, we're sending it over to Kyle Payne live in our studio. Kyle, a lot happened today.
Sasha, Brian, so much drama, so much emotion in the trial's last day. We learned the jury's long-awaited verdict and saw that jury hand down a life sentence, putting some bold punctuation at the end of the Robert Tellis murder trial.
Life in the Nevada Department of Corrections with eligibility for parole, beginning when a minimum of 20 years has served.
Robert Tellis will be in his late 60s by the time he serves those minimum 20 years, but he could spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of the investigative newsman Jeff Gehrman, who tragically was in his late 60s when Tellis brutally stabbed and killed Gehrman outside of his home. The jury of 5 men and 7 women having watched this grainy video of the 2 men in mortal combat before Tellis, wearing orange, got the better of Gehrman and walked away, devastating his loving family and 3 younger siblings who spoke of the man behind the newspaper byline.
We also saw the side of Jeff that most people, unfortunately, didn't get to experience. Jeff loved his family. He loved spending time with his nieces and nephews. He was especially close to them.
Gehrman's life, taken by Tellis just a few days short of 2 years ago.
And if you could please give my son a chance of parole.
Tellis now had his family make a plea to save Tellis's life. His mother, first wife, and current wife all telling the jury about the Tellis they know.
Robert is an amazing father. And like I said, even to this day, he tries to stay involved with the kids.
That's the first time we've ever heard from Tellis's wife, who came a little closer to a possible reunion with the disgraced former Clark County Public Administrator, because this jury, seen here for the first time on television leaving the Regional Justice Center in downtown Las Vegas, had 2 members holding out for an acquittal before their unanimous guilty verdict.
Look at the profile.
According to Tellis' attorney, Robert Draskovich, who gave the jury some pause in his closing statement when he showed this image of someone who looks nothing like Tellis driving away from the area of the murder that day in a car that did look a lot like Tellis's.
And that caused them to roll up their sleeves and review all of the evidence very, very closely.
Draskovich spoke with those jurors after court Wednesday, and then with 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy.
What they decided to do is to work as a group and review all of the evidence, and they ultimately arrived at their verdict.
Great reporting there, Kyle. And I think a big question a lot of people have, do we think that at any point they were going to acquit him?
I asked myself that quite a few times during the deliberations, and I really couldn't say they were going to come right out with an acquittal. But as they came back with questions a couple of times and the conversation got a little deeper, I thought this could end up with a hung jury for sure.
That was fascinating when Draskovich made that point earlier,
yes.
Live on 8 News Now in that earlier interview. Kyle, what is next now in this case?
Next, we're going to be back in district court in front of the same judge in October, because that judge gets to decide whether Tellis gets 1 to 20 years because Gehrman was over 60, and that's an enhancement for that crime.
All right, Kyle, thank you for your great reporting on this.